Maypole Farm, and starting off with a bit of a montage of some of the contract work that was done between videos. It is pretty much all baling work because that's all of the contracts that are available at the moment. It's kind of cool. I managed to get on at one point with Cartech and Eagles, and Cartech took some kind of nice cinematic photography. So some of these shots are thanks to him. Some of the less cinematic are thanks to me. Yeah, so they've been working hard and amassing a huge stockpile of spare bales. My plan for that is that in the winter we'll get some TMR mixing going on and make a bunch of cash off of that. With the forage dealer that's on the map, we can sell TMR, so that's kind of cool. On to the next day and the last day of May, and we have a bunch of stuff to get done in this video. So in no particular order, we're going to bed the cows down because they're pretty much out of straw. We then have a huge excess of slurry. At least the cow shed on nearest the entrance to the farm, the slurry tank is full. That would be a problem, but the cows are at the period at the moment where they're not producing any milk. They are in the last 2 months of the gestation cycle, and with Night Cloak's edits to the milking, that means the cows don't produce any milk, which is bad for us in that we don't have cash coming in from that, but good that it doesn't matter that the slurry tanks are full. Do need to have a look at getting an extension at some point to increase the capacity because it fills up quite quickly. But we do have a bunch of fields that are going to have crops planted in them that need fertilization, so we'll be doing some slurry spreading. A need to tidy up the ploughing that was done. We need to plant those 2 fields because today's the last day we can plant them. We need to roll those fields, and we need to bale the hay, which has dried overnight. So yeah, a huge amount to get done in this game day. So let's kind of get to work, I guess. A bit of faffing about getting the bucket off the front and the bale spikes on the front of the Z-Tour. You may notice that I tend to prefer on here using the smaller tractors that we have, particularly for yard work. That's because the yard's quite small. Therefore, the big Fendt, we've got a bit of work to do with it today, and then that is off to DS Agri to work hard for those guys. Well, after I finished this video, I managed to pick up a nice set of triple mowers for those guys. So between that and the Fendt, hopefully that's going to speed up their bale contracting. One thing I have done between after this video is all of the multiplayer previously was left on half-time to maximize the amount of time that would be online. I've changed that now to 1 times because it did feel like they were getting through too many contracts. So we'll see how that goes. I'll probably play around with that as we get through things. Also, I need a weight on the back of the Deutz if I want to blow straw, but this is fine, right? Anywho, that's all done. So the next job was to find the slurry tanker. Normally I leave that out. For some reason I put it away in the shed. I could not find it. So I went into the garage and put on show on map, which is what the big green glowing tower was. And annoyingly I'd left it full, which means it's going to be a while before we can take slurry out of the tank. Because of the issues I had last time with getting auto drive to all sync up properly, and because I was being a bit lazy, I use a base game worker with the option for the worker to take from the animal shed. That does the job quite nicely. So field 11 is going to be maize. You can see up in the distance the plough is working. So I worked out why we're getting the weird stripes when it ploughs. It seems that the plough is coded to be a plow that rotates, but it doesn't rotate. So Courseplay treats it like a plow that rotates and offsets the work area. And because it's a plow, you can't change that because Courseplay automates that. So that was a bit annoying. Might be that we need to sell that and replace it because, yeah, it just doesn't work very well with Courseplay. I'm assuming it won't with the base game worker. Not 100% sure, but we'll see. So yeah, this is me setting the AI worker refill to take slurry from words from one of the animal sheds. I was going to try and do it on Courseplay because I thought in the past I'd got it to work with Courseplay. I think I did. I think the issue I had is that it won't take, it only takes from one of the sheds. So it thinks the tank is empty. It's clearly not. Plus there's 50 or 1,000 liters in the animal pen. But I think I couldn't get the base game worker to work with that one either. So that might have been a me issue. I should probably have tried to get auto drive to work, but I've been having lots of fun with auto drive lately, not behaving. So this was the easy option. I'm going to do a bit of headland and then get the worker going on that. So I kind of guessed. I went and looked up how much nitrogen maize needs and then kind of guessed how much to apply. I was a bit over eager with the slurry, it would seem, as we'll see later on when it comes to planting this field with corn. The other kind of dilemma that I had is we're planting another field of maize silage, but I've yet to crack open last year's because we're just not using as much as we're producing. So I might go down the option that I'm thinking for contracting, and we'll mix that in and use it to sell a whole load of TMR later in the year. Or if the price is good, I might just sell it. So I can't see us needing it, to be honest. We've got lots of grass silage bales. The other option is we could just use it instead of using grass silage. Anyway, so the worker is running on that and taking slurry from one of the pits. I think it's the first one. And the big Fent is finishing off ploughing. I end up going back and fixing the gaps. You'll see why when we pick up a planter in a bit. But while that's all going on, we're back sorting the hay out. So this also needs, I want to at least get this windrowed and baled for this game day. I will probably clear it between videos. That was certainly my intent, although my understanding is that patrons have already used a big chunk of what was left of the game day doing contracts. So we'll see. I don't need much light to do it, so I can do it in the dark probably. It'll be okay. I'm just very conscious that I've spent a lot of time on both Let's Play series baling and stuff lately, so trying to focus a bit less on that for a little while. Also trying to drink a coffee at the moment because it's been a long day. But yes, I know I don't technically need to go around like this, but it felt like the easiest way to get this whole field windrowed was just to treat it like the bit in the middle wasn't there. I'm not actually going to go over that bit when it comes to getting there, but in terms of doing headlands and stuff, I felt like the easiest way was just to do this. I wanted to drive it myself. I could have put Courseplay on the job. Would have worked. It would have worked. Again, it would have just windrowed the bit in the middle like it wasn't there. And there we go. There is the slurry tanker just finishing up. It did miss some bits, so I did have to go and get another tank of slurry to do the bits that it missed to try and even it out. I am really looking forward to being more technologically advanced and being able to automate some of that. It's a challenge getting nitrogen right without auto application and all the other bells and whistles that will come in the future that we don't have just yet. I'm not going to cheat. I'm not going to jump ahead, but it's if you really like your kind of perfect nitrogen, it ain't happening. Same with lime. It's quite an interesting challenge. I'm enjoying it. I really love this series. It's, yeah, I think it's even better with the multiplayer aspect added in. We haven't ordered them yet, but have an option for some very nice Ford combines, thanks to Mark Thor. So really looking forward to those. I'll probably show those off in the next video. Yeah, thanks Mark for sending those over. They're going to be perfect on here. It's going to be very cool. And as you can see now, we're trying a little bit of time lapse with the camera in the sky. It seemed to go down quite well last time, so I'm just trying it for something different. Trying a few different options. So yeah, hopefully this. I figured it was a way of me showing the whole process of windrowing whilst I did it manually, and it not just being. Sometimes time lapses from a kind of standard view from behind don't work so well because I just find they don't. I find it really hard to keep the camera very still as well. I am someone who likes to move the mouse around quite a lot while I'm playing, so there is that. And it's probably a good point to say thank you to the patrons and the YouTube channel members. Appreciate you all supporting the channel. Interested in any of those, there are links below. And if you want to get involved in the multiplayer, then head on over to the Patreon page, and because that's who gets to do it. There's 4 people that are joining regularly on there, which is really cool. It's yeah, it's a lot of, well, the little bit that I did was a lot of fun. I only got on there for maybe 45 minutes or so last weekend. I have to balance actually making videos with the time that I spend playing Farm Sim. So yeah, which I'm not doing very well at this week. It's wasted an hour today recording a video on building a custom cow pasture that from the Giant's small one that's going to be coming on here, appearing very soon. But yeah, had problems with the audio with the building work next door, and I just wasn't happy with it anyway. It didn't flow very well, so it went in the bin. Have another go, because actually it'll probably be better the second time, because it's been a while since I've gone through that process, and so I was a little bit rusty and it didn't really flow very well. But I think probably in the next video that will be appearing in here, so you guys will get to see it, which will be cool. And then sometime next week probably the video will come out, unless I get it recorded before the end of the week. We'll see. Again, trying some tricks with video editing. So we're going to jump into a bit of a time lapse again of getting the baling done. And again, I just thought this was a cool way of showing it. I actually shot this at a much wider angle because I did think that I would come and clear the bales as I went from the headland, but as it turned out I didn't need to, so I kind of set it up so that you could have seen that whole process. But we didn't need to do that. We can just get all this baling done. And yeah, I think it's, I hope, I don't know, we'll see. Because the camera's not jumping around, this is hopefully an easier viewing experience. So again, the stuff that I did with the picture-in-picture before seemed to go down quite well. So curious what you guys think of this one. As we explore options for basically taking advantage of the fact that I've turned this into multiplayer, and have the technology available to do this. It's yeah, it's kind of cool. It's getting easier to edit this stuff together, and I'm trying to add new stuff in every time. So there'll come a point where I stop doing that because I don't want to overwork the format that I've had for a while that's somewhat successful. But you know, mixing it up a little bit is not a bad thing, I don't think. So yeah, almost done with the baling. I'm not going to clear these bales. We've got other jobs to get done. I just wanted to get the hay in the bales before the end of the day. Next, we need to get those 2 fields planted and 3 fields rolled. So trying to stick with my thing of refueling and repairing. We're going to get these refueled and repaired. I think I stop and refuel anyway, hopefully. Yep, there is a slight problem. The baler is currently owned by DS Agri, so I can't repair that. So unfortunately, those guys are going to have to pick that bill up at some point. Although, not going to be huge. And ultimately, it's all one big happy pot of money. As I think we will. I think I'm going to expand the herd. So we've got 3 batches of calves due soon, and I think we'll keep all of those, with the aim being to expand the herd so we can start making more from the milk. I'm not going to get silly. You know, I think at the moment we're only on 40 odd cows, so we're not going to go silly, but we do have it set so that we get less milk and use less food, so we can afford to be a little bit bigger. But the next thing we need to do, you can see DS Agri have been working hard, up nearly 100 grand, is transfer some of that across so I can buy a planter, because we need to plant some crops. And obviously, when planting season comes around, those guys will be using it to do contracting, I would assume. So we've got some older style ones, and I was going to go for this John Deere 7000. I know it's not actually an old planter, but there are limits to what's achievable, so I felt it was in the spirit of things. We're going for the liquid fert option, but it's not a direct planter, which is why I had to plow in those extra bits, basically. So we're going to get some liquid fertilizer as well. So if you watch Greenlands, you know that I went minimal on the liquid fert because we were doing a huge field that needed a lot of nitrogen. In this case, it's smaller fields and they don't need a lot of nitrogen. So I'm just checking the horsepower requirement here because I'd forgotten. Oh no, I'm looking for want rollers. I realized that we own the little tiny 4-meter roller, but I don't want to do 3 fields with a 4-meter roller. So we're going to lease something a little bit bigger. We're going to go for the Gutland Mare, the biggest version of that, because it only needs 60 horsepower, so that'll be fine. But yeah, I went for liquid fert here because we've done most of the nitrogen application, so really we may as well go for the cheapest option or the most cost-effective option for applying nitrogen, which is liquid fertilizer. So that's why we're doing that this time. We're not going to use very much either, so yeah, seemed like a good option. And I went for the ridge markers because with no GPS, they're really good for, really helpful for lining things up. I used to use them a lot in FS19, particularly when I started playing and I didn't know GPS existed as a mod. I would always use the ridge markers to try and help with maximizing efficiency of the seeding. So I'm going to grab the pallet forks over the top of the bucket, because we do manual loading of stuff on here, and that includes seed. You can't obviously manual load liquid fertilizer because there's no hoses mod, just pumps and hoses. I guess it was manure system rather than hoses mod. I never really liked the manure system mod. I never really got on with it, and it's flying hoses and stuff. I used it once. The theory is awesome. The physics application was not so great. Maybe with FS22 and its better physics, it'll be good. I mean, the hoses for pumps and hoses are really good. So possible that if, I don't know if it's even being worked on. If it is, maybe it'll be much better in FS22, because it'd be kind of nice for something like this. Probably in the future I will add in some of the DLCs. At the moment I don't, because it's easier for the multiplayer. Like everyone has all the DLCs. I would quite like in the future to mix in some of the soft hedges and pumps and hoses kit, but I think it's a way off yet. So but it would be cool to have some, you know, some slurry pumping kit, particularly if we keep wherever we end up. We're not going to stay on Maypole forever, but wherever we end up, if we keep our farm small, then yeah, I think that would work quite well. I'm going to set the rollers on coarse plate for the first field because I would like to go and get the corn planted. And normally I don't roll for yield because the yield benefit is tiny. I roll fields because it bugs me on the map when it says needs rolling, particularly in the additional field info. So it's purely for that reason that I do it. No other, not that, you get a big increase in yield. It's just because the message bugs me. But because this is not a direct row, the corners that didn't get ploughed in of the grass are going to stay. Don't think that's a problem. It's, I don't think we're really struggling for yield. And so just trying to set a manual level. This varies a lot as we go around the field because it's really got uneven. I'm not sure of the best way to manage resetting it. Might be that we did grass. Yeah, I don't know. We might just have to deal with the fact it's going to be quite variable until we move on or progress far enough through technology. In terms of technology, so the guys on the Discord with Patron have been digging into the research a bit because they missed their GPS and their bale stackers and stuff. GPS, I'm pretty sure we're going to hang on until the 2000s for auto steer. But GPS was used in the 90s for precision farming. Certainly in combines. I don't know if it was used in things like nitrogen application as well. That would be interesting if it was, because it would really help out with, you can see in the field map on the bottom left how variable the nitrogen level is across the field. So yeah, I need to have a look at that. But in terms of so it was used, I think, on combines to map yield across the fields. So that's kind of cool. Not sure it would be applicable to our old Ford combines we've got coming, but yeah, in the future we're gonna be fully teched up. I was kind of musing actually, so we're doing 90s, 2000s, 2010s, 2020s, which is now. Where do we go beyond that? Do we try and do, in our 2030s, a farm where there is lots more automation and, we've got like the case autonomous tractor, the driverless tractor. I guess it really depends where mods take us in terms of that kind of kit. But yeah, I've kind of been pondering that. It's so far off. But yeah, it's something that I've had to think about as to where we really go with this, or do we just get to the point where it's like we can use whatever we want. I think I might push for a couple of years of heavy automation just to try it. Yeah, I've got this idea in my head that the future farmer maybe sat, maybe in his tractor out in the field keeping an eye on stuff, but having, 4 or 5 autonomous machines doing work that he manages essentially. So probably you become less of a farmer and more of a machinery operator. I can see that being very unpopular with some. But I don't know. It's, as a video gaming concept, I think it's quite cool. So we'll see how we get on as to where we go in the long term. But the plan at the moment is we'll farm this year out, and then I had said we'd do another year, but maybe we'll move post-harvest. I don't have another map in mind yet at all, but I think that might timing when we move is going to be important. I don't want to do a whole load of planting in autumn and then move in the middle of the year. So I don't know. I'm enjoying this map so much that I think that's possibly we might go harvest plus a year. We'll see. Haven't really thought that far yet. You know me, I haven't really thought that. I do kind of ponder this stuff quite a lot. Thinking about farm sim stuff and series and things is a really nice mental distraction, I find. So yeah, I do spend time doing that. Yeah, kind of like when I'm out running, my mind will wander to farm sim and ideas, and that's cool because it helps with the whole process. So just doing a little bit of in cab, and yeah, I really like the markers. The problem I had is the markers show up really well in the slurried land. They show up less well in the stuff that I ploughed over. So I had to do a bit more old school and point the tractor at a spot at the other end of the field and aim for that and keep going. So when I say old school, last year I did see some farmers, they were doing ridging for potatoes, and they were using that method. They had a guy at each end of the field with a stick who would move over the right amount for the tractor driver to aim at. It was very, very old school way of doing things. It worked, obviously, and yeah, it was really cool seeing that. Actually, this week, very early, it must have been 6ish in the morning, I went out with the dogs, and the local farmer was spraying the closest field to me. Didn't get any pictures because there's some pretty thick hedgerows, but he was running a, pretty sure it was a T7, big tractor with a, I was going to say not a huge, but probably, reasonable size old pull behind sprayer. And he was covering it. Yeah, you can see the problem that I mentioned here. You can sort of see the line, but you can definitely see it in the slurry. So yeah, yeah, it's this big, medium, big-ish old sprayer. And he was covering ground pretty quick. I guess it was wider than it looked because he covered the field pretty quickly, and it wasn't traveling over the ground that quick. So yeah, that was fun. It's kind of, I was walking, I was like, that noise sounds kind of familiar. And it was tractor engine noise, which, I don't hear all the time, but I was kind of hoping that he would end up on one of the fields that's out a bit more distant, because they went out for a run after I walked the dogs, and those fields don't have hedges, so if it had been out in those, I could have got some decent pictures. But no, I think he packed up and went back. You can see the auto drive bringing the rollers over. Nice little bit of action there, and pretty much done with planting the maize. So you can see that we've over fertilized in some spots, we're under fertilized in some spots, and so as I was saying, it's I think it's kind of going to stay like that. I don't think there's an easy option for normalizing the nitrogen level across the field with the tech that we have available. Maybe I got a really, really small spreader and build in some of the gaps, basically. But I don't see me doing that. So. Other stuff, I'm still working on a new mod pack. I'm still not going to say what it is, but I actually haven't looked at it, but I had to get some help from one of the guys in the farming agency, and he pointed out what I think is my mistake. So hopefully I can get that sorted soon, and then once it's finished and been submitted to ModHub, I will share what it is. But that's not the one that I was talking about earlier, which is going to appear on here soon. It is something else which will appear probably elsewhere or here sooner or later. Yes, I'm being cryptic. It's an idea that occurred to me, partly thanks to some discussion on Discord, partly thanks to watching videos, and it's because it's a mod that I'm making. It's not massively complicated, and I think other modders could do it really quickly. So because they haven't, I want to get it done and submitted before I really say what it is. Actually, the other cool thing, I don't have a copy myself, but Giants released the Farm Sim magazine, and Maize Plus is number 3 in the top 10 mods. I think it was top 10. I have no idea. So I'm going to put course play to do the sugar beets so that we can do the rolling. I forget here to set the nitrogen level correctly, so we're going to have to come back and fertilize this field in the future, which is frustrating, but not a huge problem. It might actually be that some of it is, that enough of it is in the good range that we don't worry. But yeah, so Maze Plus was third best mod, third in the top 10 mods. Courseplay was first, which is, you know, cool. It's a really good mod. Averaging Countryside was second, which was surprising. And I was surprised overall in that top 3 because two of them are PC only script mods. Maze Plus is a PC only script mod that focuses on animals and realism. I did not expect that to be in the top 3. Now, I don't know what the criteria are, whether they're voted for, whether that was based on, can't be based on downloads. I'm pretty sure of that, because otherwise it would have been some big combine or tractor or something, or map. It would have been Calmston, maybe. So it can't be based on downloads, whether it's based on people walking around the office at Giants and going, what's your top 10 mods? I don't know. I haven't read it all myself. I just saw some of the some pictures from it that Paul shared, because obviously he was really proud of the fact that Maze Plus was in the top 3, which is, yeah, really surprised me, but really cool. I wonder how Terra Life would fare in such a list. And that's my phone buzzing, because I forgot to put it on silent. Well, turn off vibrate. Yep, so I'm going to get this rolling done. Courseplay is going to get that planting done. And then we will be done with May. So we'll be into June. We may go through June fairly quickly because I don't think there's much that we will need to do. The crops are all pretty much prepped. The grass will be growing. So it might be that and patrons have crushed through a lot of the contracts, so who knows, we might speed up a little bit. Just caring for the animals. I don't really have any big purchases planned on it, apart from combines. So yeah, it might be that it's fairly quiet unless there are some fertilizing contracts until, I think the start of harvest window is July. And we planted some of our crops fairly early, so and there are crops around the map which will hopefully be ready fairly early. So it might be that we get into a big window of harvesting between our fields and contracting fields and stuff like that. And the good thing is everyone seems to love a harvesting video. So if there's 10 of them, hopefully people won't complain. We'll see. Not expecting to do 10 harvesting videos at all. There's only so many that I will be involved in for a start. So pretty much finished on the planting. I think there are 2 more runs to do for the planter. And because although the Deutz has got plenty of power, it seems to struggle on the uphills with the planter. I caught up with the rolling, so that's kind of good. That means this job is almost done. And yeah, I'll be handing over. So I slowed down time. I'd like to give the patrons about half the day each time. And in the summer, that's fine, because, you know, there's summer, there's lots of, or spring, technically spring, I guess. There's lots of daylight, so it gives them plenty of time to do contracts, but not get silly. To be fair, they're going to be limited by what's available soon. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah. I'm really still enjoying this so much, this series. It is by far my favourite. I say it every video, I think. By far my favourite FS22 series. I think my favourite overall is still Sandy Bay. I would happily replay that series. It was so much fun. I really enjoyed the map. I enjoyed the farm that we had, how it grew. So yeah, it would have been interesting to see how that would have done as a series. Now I have an audience, rather than when I didn't have an audience particularly. Anywho, yeah, we're just about done, give or take. And you can see the Deutz is running pretty slowly up the hill. It just, I don't know if it's struggling to get enough momentum with the gear changes or whatever. We've got a little strip to do, a little strip of shame from the rolling, which if I'd been more accurate with my driving, I probably wouldn't have had to do. Most of the rolling is done, so I'm not overly worried. There were a couple of missed spots with the planting where hadn't set course play to rise, late, lower, early. Again, I'm not worried. They're fine. We can cope with a few little missed bits in the field. This is the latest, pretty much, we could have planted these crops. This is the end of the planting window, so we might be late in the harvesting window, I'm guessing. I should know. I made the growth calendar, but yeah, we're going to be late into the harvesting window for these crops. But it's not going to be a problem. We're not desperate for any of them yet. We've still got root crops in the shed. That said, we've not even cracked open the maize silage yet, and we've got lots of other silage, so the soybeans are a cash crop, so again, not a problem there. The contracting is bringing in lots of cash. Something I am pondering is increasing the number of workers we pay for, because we currently pay for 2 full time. We are getting 3 sometimes on the server, so I might increase that. We'll see. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, click the like button, comments, questions or suggestions below, and I will see you next time on Maypole Farm.